All right.
That's a weird
Okay.
question.
Hi, love you all. Please be quiet. Thank you. You're okay. So, today I was requested to discuss writer's fatigue slash writer's block. Now, the being that writer's fatigue is just I want to write, but I feel too tired to write. Um, whereas writer's block is like I have exactly. You just stare at the page and you're like, words, words are a thing.
I had that in my first scene, writing my first scene. Like I needed it so that it makes sense, but I don't know how I'm gonna write it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, there are many reasons, obviously, that you can get writer's fatigue or writer's block. So, unfortunately, the first thing that you need to do in order to figure out whether or not you should do different things to get rid of it is figure out why, if you can. If you have no idea, then we have ideas for when you have no idea. But if you can diagnose why you have fatigue slash writer's block, it's going to be easier to fix. Much like how if you go to the doctor, problems actually professionally diagnosed, it's a lot more helpful than if you just say, you know what, Google it. Like, so,
Your diagnosis is
yeah, exactly. So similar problem. If you just say how to fix writer's block, you'll get lots of suggestions. But at the same time, if you don't know what the source behind your writer's block is, you could try 1,000 things and never have it work. So it's important to make sure that you really analyze why you feel fatigued, why you feel blocked. Normally, I would say the biggest reasons are either A, physical tiredness. You might be working too hard doing something else. So, for example, if you're working like a full time job, or if you are going to school full time, or both, or if you are just having a really rough year because lots of personal stuff is going on in your life, then that can make you writer's fatigued because you just don't have that extra creative energy to spend because you're spending all that energy on your other things. The best way to cure this kind of writer's fatigue slash writer's block is simply rest, which I know sounds unproductive and not helpful, but honestly, it's the best thing you can do because if you are not well rested, you will not be able to write anything. The alternative is kind of like the author that we had come in here last week discussed. Where she mentioned actually getting up before you need to do things. If you're an early morning person, that's a great option because then you have no commitments. If you are up an hour before everyone else is up, you can go, ha ha, an hour of writing time. No one is going to ask anything of me. And so it works out really well if you're an early morning person. If you're a late night, or if you're a late night person, you can stay up just a smidge. I'm not encouraging you to like not sleep. Please don't do that.
Okay. Science told me that I don't
No.
need to sleep.
Um, but if you stay up like even a little later, like that's what I tend to do, where I stay up like a half an hour later.
A
That,
little bit?
okay.
Well, I can get
I do still get 8 hours of sleep.
I get
Excuse
to
you.
like at 12 to go to bed at 9. I stay up till 10.
But yeah, there during that time, it's a good time to write because of the fact that it allows your brain to be able to not be as tired because you're not being asked all these things and constantly being like told, take out the laundry, clean the laundry, do the lawn, etc. Yes.
So this is my Chromebook does that. I'm incredibly angry at my. That is one of the reasons why I want to change from a Chromebook to a drawing tablet so that I could at least just have something that I can write and make concept art with. Um, I just receive internet past 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that's probably because it's a school of lockups for those. Most Chromebooks actually don't have that.
My brother's Chromebook actually goes up till 10.
Yeah, so it all depends on various
In your brother's Chromebook.
internally encrypted functions. But anyway,
Type on the
anyway,
ceiling instead.
other problems for why you can have writer's fatigue or writer's block include mental health. This is a big one. If you are having struggles with your mental health, sometimes you can just be too tired mentally to write. Again, just creative energy. You're not even physically tired. You could have been sitting on the couch all day, but if you're mentally unwell, you're gonna have a harder time. Um, so two things that can work well for this. One second is that mental health can be obviously helped with, actually going to like therapy or something like that. But if you don't have the money for that or don't want to go to therapy or whatever, you can also just in general take better care of yourself. Make sure that you are like checking in with yourself, not over draining yourself, not overtaxing yourself, and on top of that, sometimes even just taking a break from writing in a productive way. You can have a secondary project or even just a random journal entry, and then that way you're still productively trying to practice but you don't necessarily have to be working on your main big fancy project. Yes, question or comment?
I think I might be struggling from mental health from fifth grade because I got bullied badly. I still have the scars.
Yeah, it definitely does not help to have external
You guys know who
struggles.
Rucker Hanks is?
What were you gonna say?
I'll find him.
Sadie. Anyway,
Rucker Hanks ran
Toffee.
in the Rucker
Toffee.
Hanks ran.
What were you gonna say? Okay. Moving on.
Actually, it's not like anything.
You're fine. It's okay. So moving on. The best thing that you can do to keep you in the habit of writing but not burn out is to have a secondary project. Now, yes, it's important to not get too sidetracked to the point where you have 27 projects and none of them are finished, which is why, I mean, you can do that if you want to.
That's why I have Witches Coven and Descendants of Empires.
Exactly. You can have two different projects, and then when you're tired of one project, you skip to the other project, and then when you're tired of that one, you skip to that project. And if you go fluctuate between the two, you will eventually get more done than if you just keep being like, I'm bored, new one entirely. With that being said, here are some other tips that are generally considered very well done in all sorts of fields. These are all highly recommended by regular authors as well as screenwriters and all sorts of creative humans. So first is to brainstorm with other people. This is where Writers Club can be incredibly helpful. Sometimes,
I doc with another guy, and that really helps with like plotting stuff out.
yeah, because sometimes you get stuck. Sometimes you feel very stuck, and as a result, you aren't able to move forward. And sometimes even just brainstorming can be helpful. There was a time at the Adult Writers Club I had a few weeks ago where the lady was saying, "I'm just feeling really stuck," and then she said something out loud, and one of the other ladies said, "Have you thought about this?" And she went, "That is the solution I've been trying to come up with for the last month." So like sometimes you just need to say it out loud, and then someone else's brain will come up with the answer. So brainstorming can be incredibly important, which is part of the reason why we have this here, so that way you can talk to other people, so you can get your ideas out of your head and maybe find good solutions. Yes, question or comment?
Sometimes I get new ideas when I'm talking to people about
That exactly, yes, it can be very productive, even just for your own brain to come up with ideas. Because sometimes just saying it out loud to someone, your brain goes, "Ooh, ooh, pick me," and you're like, "Why have you been silent this whole time?" And it's like, don't know, but I have an idea now. So it works. The another thing, if you're feeling writer's blocked, can be taking a physical temporary break. So going on a walk, going for a swim, walking to the park. Sometimes you just need to go touch grass, which I know sounds dumb, but sometimes you just need to go outside. Nothing.
Oh, I remember.
Nothing wrong with being an indoor person, but sometimes it can really help.
Videos of how to become Aryan, which is what I am. Basically it starts out first, go touch grass.
Go touch grass.
First, like go outside. Second, go touch grass. Third, it is a psychological thing. It cannot be practiced.
Yes.
You are a furry, not a Aryan.
But anyway, with that being said, it's really important to get outside sometimes, especially because sometimes sitting at a desk or sitting inside can just make your brain feel trapped with your own self, which sounds weird, but it can be the case. And so sometimes you just need it, even if you just leave the house, even if you come here to the library, which is another indoor space, you're still leaving the house. And sometimes that can help your brain get out of your own funk. It's why some people go to coffee shops and different things like that. It's not necessarily because they want to drink coffee. It's because it's a new space that makes your brain stop panicking. It's like, oh, new place, exciting. And so it gets less panicky and you're able to like have your brain calm down. Yes.
My sister actually, I actually have seen my sister go out for walks whenever she's working on an art project or
Yeah.
go in a art show.
Absolutely.
Like her three crows painting, where it was three different crows, one red, one blue, and then I think one was purple. But basically she just walked around. She just walked, and then I'm like, how was your walk? And then one time I actually was able to outrun her. When I went with her for a walk, we actually ran around in the park we used to play in. Yeah.
That can be really helpful. Like I said, even if you don't do anything on the walk aside from walk, it can help your brain to be able to get out of its stuck state. All right, the next thing that I wanted to discuss is this only works for some people. I will say this. I'm just gonna throw that out there right now because I know some of you are no for me, and that's okay. But it can help some people a lot. Is timing your writing, being like, I'm going to write for 6 minutes, and then after those 6 minutes, I'm done. I'm not going to write anything else. I'm just going to go crash. This can be very helpful if you're feeling very extra, like, taxed for time, because then your brain is no longer being like, oh no, but what if we don't have time? You're like, well, we have 6 minutes, so do the thing. Again, that doesn't work for everyone. Some people are like, it's more stressful, it's more taxing to do that, but some people it's actually very helpful because of the fact that then you can let go of all those stresses of, oh no, will I have enough time? And be like, guess what? I know I have enough time because I am literally timing it. So exactly. Some people, the timer is like, yes, I've been unleashed, and then other people are like, timer hiss. So like, it is. These are all things that you can try, and if they don't work, that's okay. Try another one. All right. Another thing is work on a different aspect of your writing. This way, you're still being productive, but at the same time, your brain doesn't feel quite so trapped. Like, you have to write chapter 2, but I don't want to write chapter 2. And you can work on something else. Like, you can world build, you can write a scene that is further down, you can write more of the plot, you can write a random bit of their backstory. Yes.
Add a bit more logic.
Yes, or better world build your magic system and add a little more logic to it. It's one of those things where it makes your brain feel like it's still working, and eventually it'll kind of unravel itself out. It'll smooth out all the wrinkles that you're running into and tripping over. Um, with that being said, another thing that you can do is writing asynchronously. So asynchronously is when you write out of order. So for example, instead of going beginning, middle, end, you might go, well, the ending scene is so cool, I want to write it right now. And then you just write it. Just go for it. Who cares?
Like, hearing a bunch of your plots.
Exactly. Sometimes that can be very helpful for helping decide your plot.
My idea for like the beginning of this actually, I was just like trying to figure out how I would get the logic because I had like ideas about these characters, and then I decided why not add another character? Why not add like basically she travels into a different world, goes through all this kind of stuff, and then basically she figures out a way to get back and forth without any problems. And then one of the things that I was thinking in the end, there's like a plot twist where she's just like when she runs into her friend Jade, she's just like, "Hey Jade, how's it going?" And then she's just like,
Out of curiosity.
and then Jade's just like, I'm just, I just, sometimes I want to commit suicide. And she's just like, what is wrong
This is
with you?
concerning. We should have a discussion.
Out of curiosity,
Yeah.
is Jade made out of jade?
No,
But anyway.
Jade gets hyped. She's actually a parrot hybrid.
But yes, so having and sometimes those can be big reveals for you. You know, you're just sitting writing along, then all of a sudden your character's like, "I have trauma," and you're like, "Oh, okay, let's discuss this."
And this was like a side character you do not
Oh my
see
god, that's a genius
until
idea.
after
You
the
talk to
first
the character
chapter.
like you're their therapist.
You do, honestly. It sometimes can be real. That's actually one of the other things I have on my list is talk to your character. If you are having trouble with your character, talk to them like you are their therapist. It's actually so helpful. I've had 2 or 3
Like
writers
you're
that I've worked with.
interviewing them.
Yes, like you're interviewing them. I had one writer that it was so funny because we were working on a book together because I'm also a professional editor, and we were working on the book together, and I was like, I need more from her. I feel like she's a background character in her own book. She's the main character. And she was like, but I can't get more. And I was like, try. And she's like, after 3 weeks of therapy with my character, I think I have more. And she literally said that she would like interview her character and be like, so exactly. So how do you feel? And she'd be like, I don't know. She's like, don't talk to me. So sometimes that can be really helpful to interview your own character.
So one of the thoughts I had about Jade is Jade basically went missing a month after Izzy was. Like I feel like writing a second book about or writing a TV show series about what happened to Jade over that time, and like in the beginning, Jade doesn't have these like fully grown wings. She only has these wings behind her ears. But then when in the end of the book, Jade actually has these fully grown wings. These wings behind her ears, and basically she has wings on her back, and
Does she have
like there's these wings on her back that are connected to her shoulder blade, like her lower shoulder blade.
They're kind of like angel wings.
Yeah, sort of like angel wings. Yeah, they're parrots. But then, basically, when Jade mentions that she tried to commit suicide twice,
What?
Izzy like looks
What is the
like
what?
like Izzy like looks at her and says, "What the heck is wrong with you? What happened while I was gone?" And then Jade says, "Oh yeah, you get a trauma dump on somebody," and then the book ends. And I just think like.
What? You can't end on the trauma dump. Like, you're just trauma.
And then during the series, I think during the series, like at the finale, Jade goes, "Oh yeah, you get a trauma dump on somebody," and then basically she explains what happens, and like everybody's just like waiting for the suspense of the finale, and then she goes like, "Oh yeah, you get a trauma dump on you," and explains everything that happened, like explains the plot, explains all the adventures that she went on, and then it explains why now she actually has a crush on her trans friend.
This is so confusing.
But anyway, point being though is that characters in general can reveal a lot when you have characters that you discuss to, and it's important to treat them like a real person in some ways. Just because, even though that sounds crazy, it's actually much better for character development. Because if you're treating a character like they are a thing, like they are an object, they aren't going to be nearly as real to your readers. And so it's important to be able to have them be more like an actual person that you're talking to and that you have active conversations with. The next thing is if it is world building or magic system based. Because let's all be real here, there are some times when you're like, I don't know why, but something's wrong. And then you're like, oh, the reason why is because I have this loophole in my magic system that is causing major problems. And so sometimes it's important to just go back and reread and reanalyze and be like, okay, where is the wrinkle that I'm not seeing? And sometimes you can even get a beta reader or a friend or a parent to read your stuff and go, hey, by the way, I think this is where the plot hole is. And so that's another thing. In Writers Club, if you ever want to pass around your story and be like, I feel like there's a plot hole, but I can't find it. Sometimes that's a good way of doing it because then you can have someone else read it and go, I found the plot hole. Because sometimes it's just not obvious to you. There have been several times that I've had writers submit books to me and they're like, this book is fully finished. And I'm like, there's a massive plot hole. And they're like, oh.
What's the example?
A great example, for instance, is the character went from being like, I'm just going to hide and disappear and not do anything. Now I'm going to launch into full-blown war. And I was like, wait, we're missing the why. Why is she doing this? This is a massive plot hole because why is she launching into full-blown war when before she was like, peace, see ya, guys. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
That was actually what Jade for a tiny bit.
And so it's important to have those explanations where
Yeah,
you
but she
explain why they get from
like,
point A to point B.
After some trauma with actual God, she's just like, yeah, no, and yells, and she actually gets a God to actually back off once, and like, when she like gives him like this look, he's like, oh, jeez, what is wrong with her?
But yeah, so that's why it's important to
Wait, did you say
redevelop your
God or
things.
guy?
God.
But anyway, so
God or
with that being said,
She messed around with some gods, and then basically
Anyway.
a gods kidnapped. So a few gods kidnapped her, which is one of the reasons why she went missing a month. Izzy.
One of the reasons.
Anyway, so with world-based things, sometimes it's just about you didn't properly explain something. It's not even about the fact that it was not properly written, it's that you knew it in your head and you didn't put it on the Exactly. And so that's why it's so important to have other people read your stuff so that way they can point out to you, hey, by the way, there is a plot hole, and I just fell into the plot hole, and I am lost. And you go, oh, well, the plot hole's not supposed to be there. Let me explain to you why the plot hole's not supposed to be there, and build you a bridge so you can cross and not be lost in the ravine of plot hole. So sometimes that's all you need is world building or different magic system things that you're just able to better explain the second time around, or even things that you just didn't think about, and then as you stare at it, you're like, I really should have thought about that. That's an important thing. Let me go rework that. And then sometimes that can help you get rid of your writer's block, because sometimes your writer's block is about something nagging at you in the back of your head, but you don't know what it is. And so as a result, having someone else read it and then reveal that to you sometimes can be like the thorn in your side that you didn't know was there. It's like when there's a rock in your shoe and you can't find it.
Oh, yeah!
Yes, it's a mental form of that. Sometimes writer's block is literally just the rock in your shoe that you cannot find, and someone else has to go find it and remove it for you, and then everything works. So, with that being said, does anyone have any other questions about writer's fatigue or writer's block before I turn off the video and do my little summary of, by the way, we have other cool writers things, yay. Yay. If you don't have a question, then look away from me awkwardly.
You see, you can also, to cure writer's block, go get inspiration from somewhere.
True. Sometimes even just reading a good book can be really
Like,
helpful.
when I was getting stuck on character development for the second book that I originally wanted it to follow Rowan. So then I decided, why not watch Witchcraft RPG, which actually his mother was in. So where his mother I based it off of was in. I decided to watch it from one perspective, just so I get like the regular feel. And I decided to watch the Necromancer Scott. There are a lot of Scotts.
What?
Anyway,
A necromancer who reanimates the dead and creates zombies.
Focus.
His name's Scott.
Focus. All right. If you don't have a question, cool. No questions? Okay. All right. Then I'm just going to wrap up the video by saying there's 2 writing contests currently going on. There's one for poetry/song lyrics, and that one is due by the end of this month, so you have about 15 days. You are allowed to submit 2 poems or songs, your choice. And then the second one is the summer writing contest, which isn't due until the end of July, technically August 1st. Excuse me. And so as a result of that, that one is the prompt of write about a character discovering bones. It can be any kind of bones, as long as it is important to the plot. You can do any genre that you would like. And with that, I'm going to turn off the video. And if you guys have any other questions adjacent to writing, you're welcome to. If you guys just want to talk and write together, that's also fine. Whatever would suit you best. Oh, and one more reminder, there is a American Fork Memories fancy thing. There's a poster over there if you wish to read more about it. Basically, it's just a small writing contest where you write a paragraph about a memory you have in American Fork, and then they're going to post the top ones. But anyway, so I'm going to turn off the video now, and you guys can do whatever